I watched The Night Stalker on Netflix. You guys, I think it came out like 2021 is what I saw, but it just got on Netflix. Man, I forgot all the people that Richard Ramirez killed. There was, let me see how many was the total. And then here's what I got out of it. This dude, it was cool because they interview. If you get a chance, it's called The Night Stalker. It's on Netflix. Watch it, but let's see. Let's see how many people they know he killed, but I'm sure he killed plenty more. God, he died in 2013. He was only 53 when he died of cancer. That seems so. That's so odd. You don't really hear of serial killers just passing away of cancer. Never got executed. Was on death row for like 20 years. Never got executed. Well, 14 years. Victims, 15 plus that we know of. Because I guess one thing he said was he was killing mostly in L.A., but then he killed somebody in San Francisco. And then they said when he was on his way to San Quentin, he was in the back of the van, and the detective that was right in the front with him, he said, "Hey, you know those two old people that died on Telegraph or something like that?" He was like, "Yeah, I did it," and that's when he went. The detective went, "Yeah." So all the deaths we know about, I'm sure there's so many more out there because we were just focused on. I mean, everybody was just focused on L.A. and San Francisco, but I guess he had a brother in El Paso, and he was born in El Paso. So you don't think he killed anybody in El Paso, or went over to Mexico and killed some people? Yeah, it was like it's pretty entertaining because it's not going from his perspective. It's the two detectives that was chasing him the entire time, and I didn't know. I knew he got caught, but I didn't realize they. What's interesting how he got caught was they knew he was in El Paso, so they had all these undercover agents at the bus stop waiting for. No, they didn't know he was in El Paso. They thought he was in L.A. So it got announced. Richard Ramirez is the Night Stalker. His picture's in all the papers that morning. So the LAPD was like, "Yo, we're gonna stake out the bus station. We think he's gonna leave to go to El Paso because he's got family in El Paso." They didn't know when the news broke. He was in El Paso, headed back to LA on a bus. So they're looking at everybody coming into the bus station, and here he is. He got off the Greyhound bus. And the detective goes, he made the detectives immediately because, yeah, they're dressed in dirty clothes and dingy, but their teeth are nice, their hair's clean, so they don't really look homeless unless they were day one homeless. And they said when he saw him, he knew it, and he ducked into a liquor store, and then when he went in the liquor store, that's when he looked and saw like the LA Times, and his picture was front and center. And then he looked, and people were like looking at him and then looking at the paper at the liquor store. He jumps on a bus. He's sitting on the bus, and he sees somebody look and saw him on the bus and was like, got the paper, looked at him. This person, ding, pulled the little, the bell on the buses, got off, went straight to a payphone. Okay, keep in mind, this is like, this is what, 85? With no cell phones. Goes to a payphone, and they said Richard Ramirez saw him and was like, shoot, I'm made. So he takes off. He's on foot, run all over lane. He literally ran across the 5, which is like 8 lanes, on foot. And then he tried to steal somebody's car. They wouldn't. The guy fought back. And finally, people were like, this neighborhood is realizing, oh, shit. I'm sorry about that. That's the Night Stalker. And they started beating his ass. And then the cops had to come and literally save him. I was like, talk about a neighborhood you want to live in. Let me see if they say anything.
Yeah.
I want to see what neighborhood was that they beat the shit out of him. Hold on. Capture. Okay. Okay, this is on Wikipedia. So on August 30th, 1980, Ramirez took a bus to Tucson, Arizona to visit his brother, unaware that he had become the lead story in virtually every major newspaper and television news program across California. After failing to meet his brother due to his not being home, he returned to L.A. early on the morning of August 31st. He walked past police officers who were staking out the bus terminal in hopes of catching the killer should he attempt to flee on an outbound bus and into a convenience store in East LA. So yeah, I saw on the documentary it was a lot of Latinos. After noticing a group of elderly Hispanic women fearfully identifying him as El Matador, Ramirez saw his face on the front page of the newspaper La Opinion, with a headline calling him Invasor Nocturno. My Spanish is so bad, and I apologize for this right now. He fled the store in a panic, and running across the Santa Ana freeway, he attempted to carjack an unlocked Ford Mustang, but was pulled out by angry residents Faustino Piñan and Jose Berjon. I'm very sorry for these Spanish names that I'm butchering right now. Ramirez ran across the street and attempted to take car keys from Angelina de la Torre. Her husband, Manuel de la Torre, witnessed the attempt and struck Ramirez over the head with a fence post in pursuit. They said this dude saw Richard Ramirez coming after his wife trying to car in his car, pull a post out of the fence, probably broken down fence. That's when that adrenaline kicks in. You grab something. Just pull. I'll put it like this. What's his name? If I am Manuel de la Torre, I say, hey, I saw him. I saw the fence. I pulled the fence up with my bare hands. I took the pole. And I beat the shit out of him. That would be my story as I got older to my grandkids. I'd be like, nah, that fence was in the ground. I pulled that post out. That's the adrenaline. That's how much I love your grandmother. That's what I would say. God, I know he got topped off that night. He got knocked off without question. When you capture the night stalker, you beat the shit out of him because he tried to carjack your wife. Let's talk about the real. Let's talk about how Angelina de la Torre was giving Manuel the Haktua that night for show. If any night your wife's going to do whatever you want, she's going to swallow, take it in the back, whatever. Oh, Manuel got it that night. That's what we're not talking about. Tell me, any female listeners out there, that a serial killer tries to kidnap you, steal your car, and your husband comes in with a fence post out of nowhere and beats the shit out of him. What you doing? What you doing, ladies? I don't do anal. Oh, you do anal tonight? Oh, yes, you do. I saved your life. Guess what? Oh, Angelina got it that night from Manuel. So, a group of over 10 residents, including Jose Berjon's sons, formed and chased Ramirez down Hubbard Street in Boyle Heights. They soon restrained Ramirez and relentlessly beat him. At around 8 a.m., police were called over a disturbance in the area and with few details with indications of a fight. Police quickly arrived on Hubbard Street and took a severely beaten Ramirez into custody. So, yeah. That's pretty much, they said El Paso, it was Tucson, who knew? But, you forget, what? I didn't know this. While awaiting trial, Ramirez reportedly met actor Sean Penn, who was jailed for 33 days in 1987 for reckless driving and assault of an extra on Colors. I didn't know Sean Penn got arrested for that. Claimed to receive a letter from Ramirez as a fellow inmate, to which he wrote back telling Ramirez he had no sympathy and hoped he died in the gas chamber. Ooh, Sean Penn's a real one. Here's the thing, though. The guy was like a sex symbol when he went to trial. There were so many women sending him naked pics, and you can see he's got very striking features at that time. He's thin. His eyes are kind of sunken. They're deep. So I can see women going nuts, but it's still weird knowing that you just be another victim if you got with him. And let me see. Oh, what is all this? By the time of the trial, Ramirez had fans who were writing him letters and paying him visits beginning in 1985. Dorian Leoy wrote Ramirez nearly 75 letters during his incarceration. In 1988, he proposed to her. And on October 3rd, 1996, they were married in California's San Quentin State Prison. For many years before Ramirez's death, Loy stated that she would commit suicide when Ramirez was executed. By the time of his death in 2013, Ramirez was engaged to his 23-year-old writer. Yeah, so much for that. Let's see. Yeah, so his body was not claimed, it was cremated. So he just died of cancer. Even in his last mugshot is 2007. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy how there's just crazy people walking amongst us, and we don't even know. Can you imagine how many people walked by Richard Ramirez? Never had a clue. They interviewed this librarian on the show. And he said he always came in and he always felt a little uneasy, like, oh, that guy's something's up with that dude. And then when he saw it in the paper that he was a Night Stalker, he said, dude, he just stomach dropped. He was like, no, that's the guy who used to come to the library all the time. It's just crazy. You just never know, man. There's so many crazy people out there.